but some of us shouldn't have kids. Cameron, I'm kidding. But no, some of us have experienced, and we may not have kids, but we've worked with kids, we've taught kids, we've hung around kids, we've been around somebody who you wish were doing a better job with their kids. Like, there's a lot of those stories, and we can all relate if we talk about kids. Some of you have been kids. Some of us are still kids, right?
Shut up.
Thank you so much, man. That's why I pay him the big bucks. Here we go. How much am I paying you for this practice?
$0.00. Don't worry, I won't be spending all.
Experience and love. All right. Some of us are still kids. I'm not like, yeah, John. Some of us are still kids. And
We all have our kid moments.
we all have our kid moments. Yeah. John and I play make believe every other Friday. So that's for real though. Like, everybody's laughing except everyone in my D&D guild. So there we go. But that's what's up. We goof around. We act like kids. We have been kids. We have all these stories from when we were kids. We all have those moments where we recognize those moments of immaturity when we had growth ago, you know? Sometimes we maybe even have said this, and just smile at me if you're guilty of this, right? Right? But what's that?
I don't know what you're saying.
And you're already smiling, right? How many of you have just reflected back and went, I wish I were a kid again so I could do this? Or how many of you as kids were like, I wish I could do this because when I get older, and now that you're older, you're totally doing it, right? Anybody been there? Okay. Yeah, I was that kid, like, I wish I had a job so I could just buy baseball cards all day. Well, you know what? I do, and it doesn't work like that, kid Zach. Right? It doesn't work like that. You make your wife angry. So, right? But what we have is, we have this reflection on childhood. So the parents will resonate with it, but at the same time, those of us who have some really early memories of being a kid can pour themselves into this too. Because I don't think anybody in here remembers taking baby formula. Anybody got an eidetic memory and you're like, you woke up and you're like, I will remember this day, this stuff tastes nasty, Similac, get out of here. You know, that stuff even smells like
natural.
sadness. You know, like,
Natural nipple spray.
it smells like it comes out. Like there's nothing good about it, man. And so, but when we look at these products, right? I had this really interesting experience as a expecting father at the hospital doing the birthing classes. Okay. The birthing class is a really interesting thing, guys that have gone through it. Yeah. The birthing class is an interesting thing, okay? Who got Jeanette Spratt for their birthing class? That is the best daggone birthing class ever, just to say. She's retired now, so the rest of y'all are out of luck. But she's the jam. And so I got this long history with Jeanette, and she did all these fun things. She brought balloons one day. When we had our first day, and I'm like, Jeanette's doing this class, we're gonna have a tea party, and she's like, because if you catch her and ask her for a tea party, those of you that go to Lakeview on Sunday mornings and you know who Jeanette Spratt is, say, Jeanette, Zach promised me a tea party, and she will give you one, okay? She has a tea party for you. You just have to ask her for it, okay? So I have the best birthing class going on, right? And then they start to explain to me what is in milk that the little ones eat, okay? So there's mother's milk, and then there's this formula, okay? And they show the list of all of the things inside of it. All of the things that are in a mother's milk for their child. And it's like 75 things. It is vitamins, it's minerals. There are actual vitamins that don't exist outside of a mother's system. Okay? They are things that they cannot synthetically manufacture. Okay? There's a thing called vitamin K. Okay? And vitamin K only exists in the bond between a mother and child. Okay? God made a vitamin you can't figure out. Okay? It's awesome. And so they go down this list, all these things. And then they're like, so, moms, feed your children as long as you can, because this is what's in formula. And And they hold up this list, and it's like 6 things. That's it. It's 6 things. 6. Not 56, not 76. 6. It's the basics. Excuse me. It's the basics. It's the survival nutrients. It's the stuff that you need just to get by. But it's no substitute. It's no substitute. And so I'm looking at what we got here in 1 Peter chapter 2. And that first verse, he's like, put away the silly stuff for a second. Put away these distractions. Put away these silly things. And I want you to, like a newborn infant, long for pure spiritual milk. And so when I read that, they didn't have Similac. They didn't have what are the other names for drinky sill? I don't know what they call this stuff anymore because I don't have to buy it. Lord bless it, right? But they didn't have that stuff. They just had the bond between a mother and a child there. And so they're talking about legit stuff. They're talking about the real deal. They don't even know what fake is right now when it comes to feeding your infant milk. Okay? So like newborn infants long for pure spiritual milk, that by it you may grow up. Okay? You may grow up into salvation. So what does that picture look like? Okay? We taught Zeke how to sign when he was itty bitty. We taught him to sign, he'd do more please, he'd do thank you, and there was more please, right? So, more. And he would sit there and he would get so hungry. Like he would just and he would just make the sign like, feed me, you monsters, I've only eaten 16 times today. What is wrong with you, slave drivers? I wake back up. Like he was so hungry. And like, it was crazy because his mouth wanted the bottle, right? His mouth wanted the bottle. And he would, even though he's signing, even though he doesn't know the words yet, even though he doesn't know anything, he just goes, it's like, somebody feed me. I'm more. Right now. It was really cool because once he started to talk early, you go figure, my kid wanted to talk a whole bunch. But he started to talk early, and he said, Dad, he said, Mama, and then he said, donut, right? It's because I lived like 3 blocks from a Krispy Kreme, and Daddy kind of always had donuts, but he would go, nut, no nut, no nut.
No nut.
And so like he'd go up and mash up little bits, and he would kind of go on him for a minute. No nut.
No nut.
No nut. No nut. Like he wanted to be fed.
No nut.
Yeah. It was adorable if it weren't like greedy, that little bugger.
Little bugger?
I would save like that last blueberry cake donut for me, and then he'd be like, what? And I'm like, oh man, Will split.
Diddy Kong.
But I think about how hungry he would be. And I would think about all the things he really required of the world at the time. And that was about it, besides nap time. That's all he wanted. He didn't usually even want to take a nap. That's all he wanted. And so I'm reading this passage. And I'm kind of getting a little down. Because I don't feel like I want scripture like that. I don't feel like I want scripture like that. Does anybody feel like they want scripture like that? Like they wake up, and the mouth of your heart is just... You want to grow, you want to eat, you want to ingest it that bad. And the mouth of your heart is just wide open. Your moments of awakeness are filled with... And when you grow up a little bit in your faith, you learn the words, you know what to say. And it's not Bible, gospel. Jesus, I need these things. I need it. I need it now. think this is a very basic principle because we're talking about being hungry. And I know you guys don't have the opportunity to feel hungry here physically because I throw a lot of soup out there. Please take some with you. But you have an opportunity to eat. And it's kind of strange because as adults, I didn't eat too well this week, right? I didn't eat too well. I was busy, I was frustrated, I was kind of around, I skipped a lunch, and I'm like, rats. And then you get, the word is hangry, right? Anybody ever been hangry? I'm a special brand of hangry. Like, I'm very approachable, I'm very smiley, and then like, you get on the last nerve, and I'm very, very short with you if you were standing in between me and getting the lunch, right? And so, I won't tell you who it was, but it was a very long-winded person, even more long-winded than me sometimes, and this individual was sitting in my office this week. It was none of you. I've had a lot of you guys in my office this week, but this individual was like, hey, here's what's up. And it was like 11:59, and I'm like, dear Lord.
Jesus, come here. Look at Jesus. He's coming.
I hunger. I sold comic books this week. I'm going to Hardee's. I hunger. Right? I'm ready.
Are you hungry? Yeah.
And this individual walks in my office and I'm like, hey, can I borrow you for a few minutes? And this is office few minutes, Jessica. This is office few minutes, Kayla. We know what office few minutes means.
2 hours.
Yeah. It means hope you don't have to pick up your kid today. Best of luck. Sparky with the sound effect. That's how it felt. And so I try not, especially with my mom, I try not to do stuff like that, but she'll talk and talk. But this individual just had so much to share. And I, most of my responses were like, got it, yeah. Got it right.
Yep. Nope.
Sped right now, I'm done. Yep, that's a bless. You want me to pray for us? So we can, all right, let's pray. Okay, oh, and the one other thing, okay. And so I was like, but I was so hungry.
Each show we do, we have 8
And I was
matches.
hangry. Like, my physical appearance.
I don't do physical. I can't do that right crap.
God, I want something so bad. And I don't feel like I do that with Scripture so much. Scripture's crazy good. Oh my goodness, it's so good for you. And here's the deal, guys. I'm going to compare it to protein powder. Who lifts? Do y'all even lift, bro? Okay.
Do you lift, bro?
I run. I cardio.
Lift? So, like,
Do you cardio, bro?
I've taken over the last few
I run
months
it.
some
Treadmill.
weightlifting, and it is fantastic, guys. And when I say fantastic, I sense the eye rolls in here. Like, I sense people going, yeah, whatever. No, and then you're going to leave here and you're going to go, I'm going to work out on Monday. And it comes and it doesn't happen, and we know how it goes, because I did that for so long, right? Because the first 2 or 3 workouts are basically what hell is going to be like, minus mosquitoes. Okay? Like, Satan's going to put us all to a Monday workout with mosquitoes. That's hell. Okay? So, if nothing else leads you to Jesus, the fear of mosquitoes in your first round of squats, yeah.
What are you doing that for?
Okay? So,
That just makes stories.
What's your story?
it's no good.
Any stories on there?
I wasn't going to put
stories in
cats
there?
in there, because some people like cats.
Do you get do you ever get
But there's
conversation with
puppies
people?
in there, just saying. Y'all want to go there.
Oh my god.
But it's interesting,
You-
because
you-
like
you're
those
lying
first
to me,
few
Dan.
workouts are really great.
Liar. Well, show me what your story
They
is.
hurt, and they're no
Show me everything
fun.
to me. You're
And we hate
a
them.
closet
And then
smuggler.
we discover
That's a closet
body parts that we weren't even
You're not
sure
showing
we
your
had.
secrets of the
And they've been
chamber.
sitting under so many layers of us going, it's so
My
lonely.
chamber of
Everybody going-
secrets.
And I am
You don't let
so
your friends go in
small.
your chamber
And so,
to check out what you do.
finally begin
Chamber of
to
secrets.
discover
Chamber of
these
smugglers.
things. And then those
You have a bunch of
us,
smuggler
especially
characters in
guys
there.
that lift, we're like, yeah, I'm going to GNC this week. And then you put that on for
more.
like 6 weeks. And so finally, you go.
Sparky Mort.
And I picked up this stuff. It's this giant tub. It's enough to
Let me
carry
saw.
like 3 human heads in. It's this big honking tub. And isn't that morbid? It's
Good
very
old
morbid,
honky
dude.
tonk.
And so like it's a big tub.
It's a big
just
tub.
wide mouth.
It's a hot tub.
I think of that because I can
Hot
stick
tub
my
time
whole
machine.
head in. It's crazy, right? This big wide honking tub. And like I'm asking the lady
Honky
behind the
tonk.
counter, I'm like, what is in this? Because
Blub,
I
blub.
can't figure out any of these things.
Flubber.
Right? And so she's like, oh, this imaginary word means this. And like she's telling me all this stuff that's in the powder I'm about to buy, right? I understood protein and cookies and cream flavor. That was about all I got.
Cookies and
Okay.
cream.
That's my favorite right there, cookies and cream.
Yes. Thumbs up for that.
And she rattles off a bunch of
Cheers.
stuff. Creatine, okay.
I was
And
preteen.
then she says, and all these other bizarre little twists and turns. And one of the things she said in there was, there's a testosterone booster. Okay.
Whoa!
There's a testosterone booster. Just about.
Boost it up.
And so there's a testosterone. And so I see, and like I'm looking at something again, I'm thinking of like the same chart I saw, the baby formula thing, all that stuff.
on Facebook,
when I was in
YouTube,
the
put
birthing
parts of
class.
the
And
sermon.
I see like 75 things that I'm going to put into my body. And it's supposed to be good for me.
So they say.
So they say. But as I'm processing this stuff, the first time you do all that stuff, it's hard.
Jinko's coming back.
Yeah.
The
Jinko.
first time you walk,
The jeans, I'm
walk
gonna get some
through
Oh
those.
man, those things were
to
bad.
do the workout.
Yep. They're
It's
expensive
hard.
though. So I'm
The
paying.
first
I
set of
remember having
workouts you
pair
do,
when I was a
hard.
kid.
The first time you guzzle down that thick protein
My dad thought
shake,
they were
it's
gangbanging
hard.
jeans.
You guys are like, right? But I'm reading
My
here
dad
in
thought
1
those were
Peter
gangbanging
chapter
jeans.
2,
Gangbang jeans.
Yeah.
about desiring to put the good things in you. And I read something crazy here, like newborn infants long. Anybody catch that word? They long for it,
That's
for
what
pure
she said.
spiritual milk. That by it you may grow up into salvation. Grow up. What does that tell me right there? The salvation moment you had, if you had it. If you had that moment where you asked Jesus into your heart, it tells me again, back to the beginning, you have not arrived. You just started something. And when you just start something, when you just start growth, it's hard.
Just like life.
It's supposed to be hard.
Paul.
Teenagers that made it above 6 feet tall, growing pains, we all had them, but like us 6-footers, we got
You were tiny.
growing
You don't
pains
look like
in the
you
back
now.
of
You
your
really
leg.
that good?
It's just like searing hot pokers. Like I would stay up all night long because I could feel my legs breaking apart. Growth is supposed
You
to
grew.
hurt.
You don't tippy toe.
Did you know that?
That's the only thing I would teach.
We even
was
say
the
it
tiptoe.
to parents, right?
I never done that.
We'll even say,
Never
it.
done
My
that.
son falls down, he bumped his head on the ottoman after
You did?
5 or 6 times he'd be
Your-
going,
yours-
don't
your
jump,
leg-
Wow.
right?
What happened? Your feet messed up or something?
Yeah. Camping accident.
And I kind of go, he's got to learn
I
somehow,
thought you were a ballet dancer.
Oh, camping accident.
right?
What happened to your feet?
It hurt.
Getting injured during the
He's got to learn.
camping trip.
My
How'd you go
8
without
rounds of
doing it
instruction did
anymore?
nothing. But he stopped jumping on the
Yeah.
ottoman,
Your dad.
and it hurt. Growing hurts, and that's such a little thing.
That's true.
But somebody in here needs to know that growing hurts, because if you're wanting to grow and it's easy, or you're wanting to grow and you're thinking you're about to arrive, or you're wanting to grow and everything's starting to look hunky-dory, that means the growth is slowing down. The growth is stopping. You're not pushing yourself anymore. We call that spiritual plateauing. And just like a workout, if you lift the exact same amount of weight, the exact same amount of times, the exact same duration, you're going to stop getting bigger and stronger and tougher. You're going to stop. One joker I work out with, you guys know Zach Beeler, right?
Yeah, not you.
That
You're
dude
the cool
is
Zach.
exuding
Sparky.
in the gym. Crazy, right? And we were lifting the other day, and we're on this chest press, and he gets on there. I hurt my throat.
Work it.
I can't do sound effects tonight. Lord, I feel so bad for you guys. Can't even get my sound effects out.
Uh-oh.
But he's killing like 150 pounds, 150 pounds, like it's nothing.
Like it's Lucky Charms.
And he hopped up like it was no big deal, and I was like, hey, you remember 3 months ago? And he goes, sorry, that was a mouthful of ice. And he goes, no, what about 3 months ago? And I said, we used to start on 70. He was like, oh yeah? What'd we just do? Because he has trouble, like, seeing. And so sometimes he doesn't even know where he put the pin on the weights. I was like, we just threw 150 pounds. Over and over and over and over again. We just did 30 reps, man. We used to start on 70. And he goes, oh. Those of you know Zach, you get that, oh. Ah.
Ah.
He's Dracula. Yep.
Right? He goes, oh. All right. That was a cool moment. But you know what's really interesting? The big things, that's a big thing. The big things, the big milestones in your spiritual walk, the big stuff that's going to happen to you doesn't get to happen unless you start. And that's what we talked about last Saturday. Pick something and start. Right? And so I want to bring this into the context of something that's very relevant in our world right now. Because we're seeing death in our city, around us. We're seeing it overseas. We're seeing death. And we're supposed to be agents of light. But I see bigger and bigger weights getting at it. I keep seeing the pen go down. Does that make sense? I keep seeing the challenge getting bigger. We're losing people. The church is hurting. People are hurting. And we're all kind of sitting there going, how are we going to arrive? We've got to grow. We've got to grow numerically. We've got to bring new people to church. And sometimes it's hard to invite that person you've been thinking about inviting for 5 years, and it never happened, but invite them. It's hard. Start the workout. Want it. Long for it. It might be hard to go a little bit deeper in your walk. Add 5 more minutes to your devotional time. Or, hey, let's just toss this one up there. Actually have devotions. Right? Actually read just straight up scripture. The pure stuff, not the Similac stuff, but the whole thing. Getting all the vitamins from the source. Maybe you could dive into scripture and actually want it. Because A, you know it grows you, and B, it's everything to you. You're an infant.